Hey, I'm Chris, and this is MMA for You. I'm going to be doing my post-fight analysis for UFC 201, Woodley versus Lawler. But before I get into that, I'd like to plug my own author's website at www.chrismaldon.com. I am an author specializing in the fantasy genre, and you can buy a couple of my works, starting with my first novel, an action adventure called The Mustard Prince in the Condiment Kingdom, for $4.99 at www.chrismaldon.com on PDF format, or if you have an e-reader, you can buy it from Amazon.com. You can also buy some of my short stories and short story collections, starting with the fantasy horror short story, The Land of the Wooden Statues, which I'm trying to make into a full-fledged novel. The horror collection, which is a collection of 3 of my gothic horror short stories, and the Fantasy Fable collection, which is a collection of 4 of my Fantasy Fable short stories. So on to the card. Good card. I thought most of the fights were at least interesting. There's a lot of finishes on this card, and wow, the whole main card were all underdogs. That kind of surprised me actually. It's one of those that it kind of surprises me, and then it's one of those things where it's like, seeing who won. Well, except for Ellenberger Brown, I would never like figured that out. Um, I, you know, I can see where other these underdogs would win. Even with Woodley title fights. I mean, well, I'll get to that, but like my pick sucked. I went 4 out of 11. Um, yeah, I did really bad. I thought Michael Graves should have got his win, but even then, um, I missed out the Damian Brown Arzumendia one. Almost all the main card except for Benoit versus Serrano, and then I missed Krylov versus Herman, which is like I'm like punching myself. Like I just I mean I'm not literally punching myself, but it's like I'm like a huge Krylov fan, and I picked against him here, and then he looked great here. So yeah, I'm eating crow right now for that pick. Pretty agree. That's one of my more egregious picks there. Um, I'm wondering if I should change something up a bit. I'm not gonna just pick underdogs or anything, but maybe I should start looking at odds. If anyone wants to tell me what are the best fight odds, I'm actually very curious to see how that works, and see like where like people are like betting towards, and seeing which ones are close and which ones aren't. That'd be pretty interesting. Um, so I might starting now. I might actually change things up. Seeing just how many underdogs are like winning it's kind of I don't bet, but like I think it's just kind of intriguing to see like who's an underdog, who's not, and like just how people are thinking like who's gonna win. Um, so yeah, if anyone wants to help me out with that, just tell me some like sites where I can find. The only problem is like I was told that they don't always have all the odds out right away, and I do my shows kind of early sometimes, like 2 weeks early, 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before, even a month before it sometimes. So I don't know how that's gonna work out. Um, so might want to change things up there because like the other thing is too like I'll say something. It's like, oh yeah, Tyron Woodley could totally blast Robbie Lawler with an overhand right, right? But I pick Lawler. But it's like, yeah, I totally recognize that like Woodley can blast him with an overhand right. Oh, guess what he does? He blasts him with an overhand right. Yeah, it's like it's just funny in a sense. Or Krylov. Oh yeah, he can totally blast like Herman and like early on in the fight. Well, he did in the second round, but it's like totally recognize he can do that. But I picked this guy. And it's like, oh, okay. I'm seeing like a lot of ways people can win and whatnot. It's just picking them is like a different thing. Um, as far as bonuses go, Woodley and Ellenberger earned performance of the night, while Kovakovic versus Namajunas got fight of the night. Some things to note. One, this is the fastest title change in UFC welterweight history. Other thing to note. So it's 2016. Tyron Woodley, Michael Bisping, Amanda Nunes, Stipe Miocic, Eddie Alvarez are UFC champions. Woodley won this one after an 18-month layoff. Bisping won his fight on a 2 weeks notice. Um, any other weird ones? Like just so there's just no rhyme. I guess what I'm trying to say is there's really no rhyme and or reason who's winning title fights these days. One of the common threads for all of them is that they won their belts from a first round stoppage, with only Amanda Nunes getting a submission instead of a knockout. It's crazy to me. I mean, it is just nuts to me. I think it just goes to show that there are like, it's not that there are no dominant champions, because Demetrius Johnson, arguably John Jones, but man, a rematch with Cormier, I don't know how that goes, and a rematch with Rumble. If you can get past those guys, then yeah, I would declare John Jones like the unstoppable champion. But the way upsets are happening, I gotta think like Rumble might be able to beat him at this point, just because of the way things are happening. Demetrius Johnson, I think, is all good. I think he cleared out his division. Joanna Young Jacek is one of those other ones that like. I think she gets past Kovakovic. I don't know if she gets past Andrade though. So, but for the most part, she seems like a dominant champion. Just goes to show there are no dominant champions. Like the next title fight that happens, which I think is what Stipe versus Overeem. Oh God, it's heavyweights too, dude. Anything happens in a heavyweight fight. Okay, yeah, like I don't know where I don't know how that fight's gonna turn out. Like I'll just say right now, I can watch so much tape on both guys. I'm very familiar with what those both guys bring, but shoot, man, I seeing how title fights are going these days. Yeah, you know, flip a coin, seriously. Let's just get started. Tyron Woodley defeated Robbie Lawler by knockout in the first round. So, in the predictions, and I'm not trying to hedge. This is the truth. Um, I thought Robbie Lawler would win by having the more diverse game and having good takedown defense. You know, I recognize that Robbie Lawler got hit, and I also it's funny. Like even the predictions, I say, yeah, like Tyron Woodley can hit him with a big, like blast him with an overhand right. So he feints and then throws the big overhand right and knocks him out, and with follow up ground and pound. It's like, oh wow, he blasted him with the overhand right. Okay, like okay, I knew that was a possibility. I recognize that as a very strong possibility, considering that like Woodley's knockouts tend to come from the right hand. Um, but it happened in the first round in a title fight after an 18-month layoff. you know, um, yeah, title fights these days, dominant champions these days don't exist. I mean, Woodley, this is a guy that he lost to Roy McDonald, so now Roy McDonald, if he wants to maybe get back in the title picture, he's beaten Woodley and beat him pretty bad, too, pretty definitively. Um, Not by a finish, but like, dude, he got that decision pretty clear. He backed him up, hit him with those body hit shots. Gastelum looks like on like overweight, almost beat Tyron Woodley. Jake Shields beat Tyron Woodley. Um, so like, I think it goes to show that like, hey, these guys are all elite, but they're not dominant. I mean, let's face it. Hey, Tyron Woodley's great. What a great athlete this guy is. Strong, great wrestler, explosive. But, he has issues. His cardio is not that great. He tends to fade late. Um, he gets into prolonged clinch, um, like clinches and whatnot against the cage. He tends to kill a lot of time. He doesn't. He's not actually a combination striker. So Yeah, I can't really say that this guy is like going to be a dominant champion. I can see him winning one or two, but given the right style matchups, yeah, Woodley can win. But I think there are other stylistic matchups that are I honestly can't really see him win. Um, but he beat Lawler, who was on a great run. But his time was, he was kind of on borrowed time. You know what I mean? He's the fact that he became champion at this age, and managed to get some title defenses in there, says a lot about Lawler, and he's legitimately improved. There's a lot of talk of like maybe it's USADA and the drug testing, but it's like, you know, I think the champions get tested a lot, and like that's not even to say if the title challengers, who knows if they're on something or not. You can't just say it's just a champ. What I'm saying, I'm not accusing anyone per se. It's just like if you're gonna accuse the champions, then accuse everyone else too. I mean, I don't think there's a reason to just single out the champions. Is what I'm saying. And also I don't think they're losing because of Usada. I think they're losing because there's no dominant champions. I think that's really what it comes down to, especially at lightweight and welterweight, which is just loaded with talent and elite level fighters. That can pretty much beat the top 10 can beat each other on any given night. Woodley did call out Nick Diaz and GSP. I think he should get Stephen Wonderboy Thompson next, though. And if not him, Damian Maya. With Lawler, he can get the loser of Story versus Cerrone. Even though he's coming off a win, I'd say like Neil Magny or Calvin Gastelum, they are coming off wins. It's not unheard of to see like someone coming off a title loss fighting someone coming off a win. Or if you want to get someone that is coming off a loss, Lawler versus Safadine works as well. Um, Next fight after that, Carolina Kovakovic defeated Rose Namajunas by split decision. Split decision? That's stupid, man. That was clearly Kovakovic. The possibility for Kovakovic winning here was a lot higher than I should have anticipated because I saw the improvements of Rose Namajunas and Kovakovic for her range boxing game actually doesn't have great like footwork. She's not that great at range. I mean, Namajunas was kind of picking her apart in the first round. What it was when Kovakovic gets into her range and is able to um, get her combinations going, and especially I didn't know this, just how strong Kovakovic was in the clinch. That was a new thing for me. So that is yet another thing that I have to watch, like with Kovakovic predicting her fights moving forward. Hey, she has a strong clinch game, and also her cardio is just, she has some insanely good cardio, and her takedown defense was a lot better than I anticipated it would be. Rose just couldn't really get her down. The best area where Rose was at range, and she did some pretty good work at range. It's just once she initiated that clinch, it was just over. Those knees to the body from Carolina just seemed to sap Rose's cardio, and once the third round came, I mean it was kind of sloppy, but man, Carolina just she won like rounds 2 and 3 quite definitively. Kind of surprised me in a sense. I think it surprised me just in the sense that like I didn't know that Carolina had that in her game. So like to see it, it's like oh wow, like that worked, and it worked to great effect against Rose. I was actually kind of a bit surprised that Rose was even initiating clinch after getting blasted to the body by Carolina's knees. She's still initiating the clinch. It goes to show another thing with Rose is that as good and improved as she's getting, um, she's very much still a prospect. It's just one of those things where it's like she still has noticeable holes in her game that we, or at least I just didn't know about. You know, it's like I thought she was stronger in the clinch. You know, and it's like, oh wait, she's not. Like she gets takedowns from the clinch, but she's not particularly strong here. There's nothing about her clinch game that's like that great. It's not like she has great elbows or knees or like uppercuts or anything like that. So, and I guess her cardio just, man, it really suffered there. With that said, Carolina Kovakovic versus Joanna and Jacek's gotta be the next fight to make. I mean, seriously, this is, they're both undefeated. They're both Polish. Can have this fight in Poland. Um, and it makes total sense. I mean, Carolina has a good win streak going. She's still not a potent finisher, but like she is. You know what she has? She has workman-like performances or workwoman-like performances, and it works for her. You can't. You can. She'll always come after you, even if you're getting the better of her, as shown in this fight. With that, and with Namajunas, she's probably got some fighters coming off losses like Vale Latornu or Jessica Aguilar. Be fine. Next fight after that, Jake Ellenberger defeated Matt Brown by TKO in the first round. So, we're seeing like a lot of like title changes and whatnot. I mean, like Robbie Lawler, the last time he got clean knocked out was against like Nick Diaz. And it's funny. It's like, wow, this is the guy that's gonna knock him out. You know what I mean? So with Matt Brown versus Ellenberger, it's like, wow, this Matt Brown has never been finished by strikes. Jake Ellenberger, who's coming off like his 2-fight losing streak and has only won one of his last like, I don't know, like 6 fights or so, is the guy to knock him out in the first round. It's crazy. It's MMA. It's crazy. I know some guys predicted it because Ellenberger at his best can beat Matt Brown. The biggest problem with Ellenberger is we haven't been seeing his best. We've been seeing this shell of Jake Ellenberger. And here, though, he comes in, blasts Matt Brown. He does like a double jab to right, blasts him, knocks him down. He gets wobbled himself though, so I think Ellenberger still has some chin issues. Hits a body kick. This guy doesn't hit many kicks. He mainly does a lot of punches, and he's kind of a headhunter. And like he throws like pretty much like his first fight-ending kick that I can think of, to the body. But here's the thing: he's training under King's MMA, under Cordero, and if there's one particular like offensive strike that a lot of guys from Kings are good at, it's the body kick. The other thing with Ellenberger is that you can tell his confidence was just super down. Like he had no confidence when he fought like Thompson or Safadine. The guy can't pull the trigger. And the thing that Cordero does is he has a great focus on confidence. So I think this might be just the perfect gym for Ellenberger to be in. I know he's trained under Tarverdian for a while. He trained under Rain. But, I think Cordero's like the guy for Ellenberger. Because what Ellenberger needs is confidence. And this is a big win and a good boost for his confidence. As far as Matt Brown goes, the guy defensively has never been that great. And dude, he's always been weak to the body, but man, I mean, he has like a glass body, like glass liver, whatever you want to call it. Like this guy gets dropped by body strikes a lot, you know. I knew that. like I sent in predictions. Yeah, he's weak to body strikes, He's always been weak to body strikes. I just didn't think Ellenberger would be the guy to expose that, because like he's historically not a guy that like strikes the body very much. So Ellenberger saves his job and gets a pretty big win. Matt Brown falls to like a lot. I think he's on a pretty bad losing streak now. With Ellenberger, I would say give him like an Alan Joban next. Um, you know, who else? I'd like to see him fight Tumanov at one point. That'd be cool. But Tumanov's coming off a loss. Maybe go Ellenberger versus the winner of Cerrone versus Story. That'd be cool too. Matt Brown, give him some lower to mid tier guys that he can feast on. You know. Yeah, just give him something like that. Next fight after that, Eric Perez defeated Francisco Rivera by unanimous decision. I thought Rivera was doing really well in the first round, and it's actually what I was saying in the predictions is if Rivera can stay technical, he can win this fight. The only problem is he doesn't always stay technical, and the other problem thing is that Eric Perez was making adjustments. He was moving a lot more closer to the end of the first round, especially in the second and third. He was moving a lot more. Um, he wasn't just standing in place getting countered. And Perez was just better on the ground. I thought Rivera would be able to defend more takedowns. Rivera looked flat in this fight, by the way. That third round with the flurry, with the brawl was pretty cool. But man, that just destroyed all of Rivera's cardio. And Rivera's never had good cardio. So, yeah, Eric Perez, he got a good win. I don't really think of him as some great prospect or anything like that, but he's solid. He can strike a bit. His ground game is actually pretty good, and he's tough. He's got a really good chin. Just more lower to mid tier guys for Perez. Rivera is on thin ice. I think he's on a losing streak now, a pretty bad losing streak too. I wonder if they cut him. He's a fun action fighter though. Like he has that yeah, he lost at Lineker, and then Pickett, and then Perez. But he's still a fun action fighter. I don't know if the UFC cuts him or not. It's really tough to say at this point. Um, Next I thought Ryan Benoit defeated Freddie Serrano by split decision. Uh, you know what? Serrano's 3-0. The reason why I picked Ryan Benoit is because Freddie Serrano is 3-0. And the other thing with Freddie Serrano is that he does not have a well-developed striking game, and as good of a wrestler as he is, and the announcer said this, and he's not like a great ground and pound guy. He's not a great guard passer. He's not a submission threat. So what I figured is that Ryan Benoit can probably beat Serrano on the feet, and if he does get taken down, he can get back to his feet, and that's exactly what happened. The thing with Benoit is he took the fight on short notice, but he still managed to pull out the win, which I thought I gave Ryan Benoit rounds 1 and 3. Um, yeah, that's the thing. Freddie Serrano, I mean, he's just super unorthodox. He throws axe kicks. Most of his takedowns are like high power slams. Um, but he still hasn't put everything together. He's very much a raw fighter, fighting a more veteran fighter. Um, but if you still consider him prospect at 36, he can still win fight. Like he might be able to get better. I don't know when. Ryan Benoit's just kind of where he is at this point. Um, it's more lower to mid tier guys in the division for both. Down to prelims, Nikita Krylov defeated Ed Herman by knockout, a head kick knockout in the second round. Okay, this was my egregious pick of the night. Like, this is like, why did I pick Ed Herman? Well, this is why I picked Ed Herman. Because I thought Nikita Krylov would make a lot more mistakes, especially if the fight ends up to be a grappling battle. The thing, the thing is, when it did hit the ground and Ed Herman was on top in half guard, Nikita Krylov literally just pushed him off. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. This guy, Nikita Krylov, is cutting. He used to fight at heavyweight, while Ed Herman used to fight at middleweight. Now, the size thing doesn't seem too pronounced, but it was. The way Herman would strike and connect with Krylov, it was like nothing to Krylov. When Krylov hit Herman, it seemed to hurt Herman and move him backwards. The other thing with Krylov, he used to be a guy that used to be reckless and make a lot of mistakes. Dude, this fight, like, seriously, there wasn't much wrong with what he did. He just looked good. He just looked solid. I think he led with the kicks a little too much, but otherwise, I thought, his striking looked technical enough. He looked patient. He wasn't just rushing at Herman. Hits hard. He has a good chin. He's tough as nails. And he can, like, hold his own on the ground now. He's coming up. Never thought I'd see the day, but, like, Nikita Krylov is, like, legit, like, he's not just this fun, like, how is this guy winning type of fighter? Like, he's having, like, these fun fights, being ultra aggressive, but not having the best technique. Now it's like, oh wait, the technique and patience is starting to come together to form, like, a good, solid prospect. Like a legit prospect. And I've been picking Krylov to win his fights up until this point. Um, he's still not great everywhere. I thought Ed Herman did pretty well to clinch. He actually hit him a good couple times. He got some good knees on him and whatnot, but Krylov's not a it's not like he's infallible or anything, but he's definitely less reckless, and there's less holes to his game than he used to have. With that said, Krylov should probably get like Shogun. I think Shogun versus Krylov should be the next fight. Both are coming off wins. Or if you want to go kind of high up there, you can go Krylov versus the winner Bader versus Latifi. I think that'd be cool too. Ed Herman, perfect gatekeeper. Keep him as a gatekeeper for light heavyweight. Next fight after that, Jorge Masvidal defeated Ross Pearson by unanimous decision. Good fight from Masvidal. He's keeping Ross Pearson at the end of his punches. The few times they were in the clinch, Masvidal was better in the clinch, and this is pretty much Masvidal at his best. He's technical. He's he's real tricky in his stand up. He's tough to take down. He's tough to keep down, and he's getting in the clinch, and he's tough. you know. Ross Pearson, I don't think he belongs at 170. I think he should fight at 155. And Ross Pearson is now on a two-fight losing streak. He used to be win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. Now, yeah, he's actually like two fights, on that two-fight losing streak. Both guys should fight more like mid to lower tier guys of their respective divisions. Next fight after that, Anthony Hamilton defeated Damian Grabowski by knockout in the first round. 14 seconds in the first round. And what can you really say? He knocked him out 14 seconds in the first round. There's not much to gather here. Grabowski is kind of small for the weight class. And Hamilton isn't the most technical guy anywhere, but he's a big dude. This guy, if he's good at anything, he's good at being a big dude. I don't know what else to say. He's just kind of a lower level heavyweight that manages to stay around in the UFC. Guys who are a bit more technical, like Shamil Abdurrahimov, managed to shut him down. Todd Duffy, who I'd say is a little more of a technical boxer when he wants to be, shut him down. Olenek managed to beat him as well, and Olenek's quite a veteran, so but Hamilton will beat your Damian Grabowski's, your Daniel Omelianchuk's, Rowan Potts. If he'll beat like the lowest level guy, or one of the more lower level guys in the UFC heavyweight division. Sometimes lose to them as well. Anthony Hamilton should just get more lower to mid guys at the division. Grabowski, I don't see his role in the UFC. I really don't. He's been knocked out in his last two fights. Derek Lewis and now Anthony Hamilton. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets cut, or if he just fights some like one of those random heavyweights that they've been, you know, maybe they get a loser leaves. He gets a loser leaves town fight with like one of those heavyweights that the UFC's been signing. That's coming off losses. Chris De La Rocha or something like that, or like, um, yeah, there's others. It's just like I just kind of forgot. Uh, there's these like unknown heavyweights that the UFC has. Next round, that Wilson Hayes defeated Hector Sandoval by rear naked choke in the first round. Good adjustment for Hayes. You know, Sandoval was throwing wild. Hayes took it to the ground, took the back, got the choke in the first round. He got the win, he got the finish, and Hayes has been looking really good. This is the best Wilson Hayes I've ever seen. His clinch takedown game is really strong, and then his ground game is like some of the best in the world. So, um, yeah, he's probably gonna get a title shot. He, I know Demetrius Johnson is supposed to fight the winner of the Ultimate Fighter, and maybe the winner of that gets Hayes. Um, yeah. Otherwise, I mean, he just fight anyone else that's higher up on the ladder. He caught out Ian McCall. I think that's actually not a bad fight. That'd be a cool fight too. Sandoval, he took the fight on short notice. Just more lower to mid-tier guys in the division for him. Okay, on the UFC Fight Fast prelims, Michael Graves versus Bojan Velekovic was declared a majority draw. Um, you know what? It was a close fight, but like, I'm not saying this because I picked Graves, but dude, I totally thought Michael Graves got the win here. Like, he was out great. He took the back from Velekovic a couple times. Who got the 30-27? It was Graves, right? Yeah, he had to. How do you get like a 30-27 and two draws? Like, I don't. It doesn't compute with me, you know? Like, even though that the rounds 1 and 3 that were close, that maybe go to Velekovic. Well, you know what? Like, those are like maybe rounds, you know. Um, this fight was all right. The striking was just kind of there. Graves was the better grappler. He's able to take Velekovic's back. I figured as much. Michael Graves has his wrestling game's solid, and then he has a really good um, he has a natural tendency to take the back, and he's really good at it too. Um, like I said, I don't think Michael Graves is some great prospect or anything. I think he's a good, solid prospect, and at this point, just a solid fighter. You know, like he's a good wrestler, decent enough striker, doesn't have too many holes in his game. Velekovic, kind of the same, but not as strong of a grappler as Graves. I would even argue not even that good of a wrestler. Um, Both guys are more lower to mid guys in the division. And finally, Damian Brown defeated Cesar Arzamendia by knockout in the first round. I said this in my predictions, and like it came true here. This is funny with Cesar Arzamendia. If he wants to fight against Polo Reyes, it's like he does well, like until he gets hit hard. Like that's the story of Cesar Arzamendia if he stays in the UFC even. Because like even when he fought Polo Reyes, it's like, oh well, he's hitting, he's connecting cleanly against Brown. He's getting good knees, you know, like he's doing well. Oh, he gets hit with the right hand, and dude just gets dropped, and he just like collapses, and then like he just has no chin. I mean, the thing with Cesar Arzamendia is his chin, and his defense isn't very good, but his chin is just terrible. I said in the predictions as much. I didn't know Damian Brown would be a guy to like really test that, but he was. And Damian Brown just, I think Arzamendia is probably gonna get cut from the UFC, while like Damian Brown lives to fight another day. Just more lower to mid guys in the division for him. So that's it for my post-fight analysis for UFC 201. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And please check out some of my works, such as my first novel, The Mustard Prince in the Condiment Kingdom, for $4.99 at www.chrismaldon.com. Or if you have an e-reader, you can get it from amazon.com. Or you can check out some of my short stories and short story collections, such as The Land of the Wooden Statues, my horror collection, and my fantasy fable collection. So that's pretty much it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.